Hello, it's Peter Wright on his own for a change in Ontario, Canada, with episode number 40 of the Yakking podcast. This is where we talk about life, business, and more, and we bring you tips and ideas for the changing world we find ourselves in today. The reason I'm on my own is Kathleen is sitting on the other side of the interview table, and it's my turn to interview her and another lady who we'll introduce in a moment. So the tables are turned. Good morning, Kathleen. How are you down in Kitchener?
Good morning, Peter, and good morning to all of you. Once again, thank you so much for joining us. We so appreciate you tuning into our shows, and we also love your comments, so please keep them coming. And yes, I'm on the receiving end of this interview today, so I'd also like to interview my business colleague that I absolutely adore, the lovely Mary Palamarevic. Hello, Mary. Welcome.
Thank you, Kathleen. Thanks, Peter and Kathleen, for having me today. I'm looking forward to our discussion today and our talk.
Great. No, nice to see you again, Mary. It's been a while since we've done this. First of all, I'm going to go back to Kathleen. Kathleen, our viewers see a lot of you, but they don't know a lot about you. So tell our viewers and listeners a little bit about yourself while you have the opportunity.
Yes, well, I am a Quebec born and raised girl, so I'm French Canadian, and I moved to Ontario to finish my education, went to university here and got a psychology degree. Went into the business world and worked for the corporate world for several years. And after that, just had a few opportunities for on online businesses. And now I'm actually embarking on this venture with Mary's, and we'll talk about that in just a bit.
That's good. Mary, your turn. Tell us, our listeners and viewers, a little bit about yourself.
Sure. Well, Peter, I'm Canadian as well. However, I'm an expatriate living abroad in Europe, in Serbia, for the last 12 years. So grew up in Waterloo and university degree in marketing, with about 25 years of marketing experience, working for large corporations and mid-sized businesses and small startups and digital agencies. So, across all spans and industries. But Kathleen and I are working together in a really exciting area right now, which is our company is called Karytech Solutions. And what we do is we assist companies in terms of realizing their innovative projects and technological goals. And what we do is we find the right people to execute and find the right team members that companies may need in terms of technical expertise, but also in terms of execution of projects such as app development and websites.
Great. We're going to get into a bit more detail as we go through in a moment. But just for the benefit of our new listeners and viewers, Mary has been on this show twice before, if I remember rightly. So if you scan back through some of our past episodes, you'll find out more about where Mary lives and how she likes it there and all the advantages. And also she has some very good tips for remote workers and people who might find themselves working from home for the first time in a long career. So I'd encourage you to go and look at those. Now I'm going to go back to Kathleen. And Kathleen, what was the motivation? Mary's told us a little bit about Karytech Solutions, but what was the motivation for starting that up a couple of years ago?
Actually, it was kind of an evolution, really, because Mary came back to Canada and we reconnected, and it was like we never missed a beat. It was like we had never been apart for all these years. But through the course of conversations, we discovered that there was a huge opportunity in tech, and Mary saw this opportunity where she is with the amount of talent that is the kind of tech talent that is located in Europe, and how we might be able to help companies here locally with help with their tech projects. And so just through the course of having these discussions, and it just evolved into, oh my gosh, there's an opportunity here to help our Canadian companies and all over North America with some wonderful talent. And that's how it all really got started. is just sitting down over lunch one day, and it just kind of, the idea just came to life.
Wow, isn't this amazing? And it's another example of what they call the butterfly effect, or the chain effect, I think. Sorry, I dropped something. Because I understand, you can tell us more, Mary. You came back for a family reason. You came back to Canada and sort of reconnected by chance with Kathleen, and all this has grown from that. So explain a
Yes.
bit more about how that happened.
Sure. And Kathleen and I are actually going back a little bit. How we actually met is we worked together in the corporate world, and we were really great friends. I did make the move with my family while my children were quite young still. My husband and I talked about it for many years, and we made the move. To Serbia, because we wanted to really explore the European lifestyle. We really liked the pace and the chance and opportunity for our children, not only to learn about other cultures and also their languages that they could expand upon. Which it's highly there's a lot of emphasis here on learning foreign languages. Of course, English is like their mother tongue, but Serbian, German, French. And we really felt that it was a better environment for them to actually use it. And we really, I don't think we ever regretted it, but I do come back. I have a lot of family and friends in Canada. And, a couple years ago, I did go back. My daughter actually studying in university. She decided to study in Canada. And so that's when Kathleen and I sat down and had lunch and caught up. Talked about what we've been doing for all those years, and really it just was a synchronicity. And it's all about timing, Peter, isn't it? It's all about picking up, and old friends can do that, right? You can pick up even after 10 years, and like no time has passed. So that's exactly how Kathleen and I were. But timing is when it's the right time to move on to the new thing, and we really felt that this was the right time to do this, and we really felt that there was a really strong opportunity to make a connection between groups of people that could simultaneously benefit each other. Great tech talent and companies, because there is a tech talent shortage in the world everywhere, and sometimes it can be challenging for companies to try and find the right new team members, or even if it's just project related. So this is what we offer is really the high level of expertise, but at the same time, really understanding and trying to bring companies into a place where they can move ahead with innovative products and projects and goals, even if they don't know how to start or where to begin or what it is that they really want to do. So I think our background, Kathleen and I, highly, really customer service and marketing oriented, but also with an understanding and an appreciation of tech.
Wow. Yeah, very good. And as you say, timing is everything. Isn't that amazing?
Yes.
That's a nice story. So I've got a question. I'm going to start off with Kathleen, and then she can bounce it backwards and forwards between the two of you. I think better in pictures, and especially in movies. So I'm gonna give you a movie script, because I think it could be useful for a lot of our viewers and listeners. Because I know from managing small, medium, and even being a senior manager in a very large business, a lot of management guys and business owners are not really familiar with what goes on in the IT world. They see the results of what comes out of the IT department, if you like, or out of their computer, but they don't know what goes into it. So I'm going to paint a picture for you. I'm a medium-sized business owner. And what's happened during this virus shutdown, it's really brought home to me in a very severe lesson how far behind I am in the whole automation world, because I've been trying to have people working at home and coordinate this lot and do more on the computer myself, and it's been a total nightmare. So if I was to come to Karytech and say, I've really got to very quickly get on this automation bandwagon and streamline processes, otherwise I'm going to go bust. My business is in trouble. So Kathleen, start off. How would you approach that from Karytech?
Oh, that's a great question, Peter. And one of the things that the whole pandemic has brought to everybody's attention is this notion of remote work. This is not a new notion. It's something that has been ongoing for many years now. However, the pandemic has made it clear that this will probably be something that a lot of employers are going to, this will become I hate the term new normal, but I'm going to use it in this instance where there will be a change made to a lot of how corporations operate, in that they will start to see how remote work can help them and can benefit their corporations. So having said that, what we do to help companies is really sit down with them. Sometimes it's just an idea that they have, or they have redundancies within their company. They need to streamline different processes that really are done manually and don't need to be done manually. They don't know how to streamline those processes and how to automate them. And that's where we can come in and become consultants and just take a look at what they do on a daily basis, and see those redundancies and see how things can possibly become automated, and so that they can redeploy their valuable employees to something else. And so that's really how we work, is just to act as consultants, see how we can streamline the process, and then we work with a development team. Mary, is there anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, Kathleen, just to reiterate and just really support what you said, automation is something that we all, comes right to mind, but especially at this time of in the world. It's such a strange thing to say in the world. It's not country specific, it's worldwide. And so I don't know if you recall at the beginning of this year, we kind of talked about things we should be thinking about to survive in the next decade. Here we are in 2020, embarking on a whole new decade, and we kind of suggest some things that all businesses should be thinking about, including automation, including the use of AI, artificial intelligence, and innovation is one big thing. And here we are, like gangbusters. This is it. Welcome to the new decade. There's no easing into change. We are in change. We are having to live change, and change is happening every day. So flexibility is a big thing, but it's kind of forcing most businesses to really closely look at what areas they need to put their attention on, and there's a bit of selection here, isn't there? You really have to look at the areas of where you should be innovating right now at this time, but also in a long-term process. So absolutely, the conversation about what's happening in your business right now, and where are the areas that things are kind of hiccuping, and how can innovation help you right now, automation. And let's use the tools that are out there. Artificial intelligence is being used already. It's just kind of going through the information and data that you have and using that to be a bit of predictability, and analyzing all the information. Many companies have tons of data. They don't even know what to do with it, but you can really glean a lot of information from that. It's just a couple examples. So here we are in 2020, and innovation is absolutely a necessity. Surviving means change, and going through lots of changes. We can't even really predict anymore what that might look like, but we do have to start thinking about being open to new solutions and doing things we haven't really thought about doing before.
Right. So, to both of you, I can see the advantages in the service industry. For instance, I have a couple of friends who have a market research company where they interview their clients' customers, and they've been working remotely for years. They have people working from them all over North America, working from home, doing phone questionnaires. So, and finance, banks, market research, all this, I can see how you can automate, and those people can work remotely. But in a strictly manufacturing environment, my sort of tunnel vision says, wow, there's not much we can change here. But I guess even in a manufacturing business, there's a lot of tasks that fall into the service category that you could automate. Is that right?
Well, Peter, even when it comes to the manufacturing sector, when you think about what operates the machinery, what makes the machineries and factories run, it's all software. right?
Yes,
It's all
sure,
computer
sure.
driven. So a lot of those processes, a lot of that software can be built by a development team anywhere in the world. So and it really impacts almost every industry now, right? It's all run by some sort of computer generated program.
Okay, so let's look at online sales, for example. So I mean, I use Amazon. I order books and stuff from Amazon, no problem. I know what I want, to order it. But if I'm manufacturing something that's more technical but not high tech computer stuff, spare parts, for instance, that people want to feel and look at, is that something that you can build an app for, be automated? Or is that one going to be one of the last things? I think technology is advancing, so there is a solution to that, which Mary's smiling. She's obviously way ahead of me on that one. What's the answer to those businesses who feel that their customers need to touch and hold what they produce? How do you get around that one?
There's all kinds of interesting things you could be doing, and we're looking at probably within the next, I'm sure lots of companies are thinking about that already in terms of how can I recreate a touch and feel experience without having something in front of me, right? We're talking virtual reality, and we're talking about, recreating something over, superimposing something so you can virtually try something on or whatever. So we're talking about how can you recreate the experience of not being somewhere physically, or managing any logistics. We're talking about logistics as well. Getting something from the customer to the and everybody's having problems with that now with deliveries. There's so much online shopping happening now, and many delivery companies, I'm sure, are thinking about that. So, my suggestion is always really to start with small, simple solutions, of course, that will give you a breather and allow you to recover from that, and then build on to the next thing. Okay. Don't stop. You should never stop. You fix one small thing, you fix the leaky faucet, and then you move on to the next thing. But there's so many things, and I think that during this time we're all thinking innovatively, right? I think we're all trying to find something and to find a better way to do it. It could even be, Peter, just recognizing that we're having issues and problems, right? And so how do you manage that with your clients and with your customers? It could just be better communication with your clients and with your customers, and saying, we're out of stock right now, and building communications and notifications and using software in a better way to manage that client relationship. And and that's so important. And I think that we're leading into another theme right now, which is better communication during this time. We need to communicate better. We need to use tools to communicate better, to work together, to collaborate better. These are all highly, highly relevant areas that everybody should be focusing on.
So if I understand what you're saying, Mary, a lot of improvements and really survival tactics for small businesses could come in not actually inventing anything new, but using systems that are out there and tools that are out there to improve their own internal system. And that's, again, where you guys from Karytech come into that to help people do that, correct?
Upgrading, adding functionality to something that you already have, and the enhancements that you need so that you are poised for a much better response. And I don't want to say weather the storm, but it is really managing whatever it is that's going on right now, however long it may go on for. But there's great learnings going on right now, and you always use what you have on hand, and you build from there. And
absolutely.
You make it better.
And if we look at history, if we look at what developments the Second World War triggered, I mean, everything from radar to new hospital procedures to communication, a huge number of innovations came out of that time of disaster and stress, and perhaps we're seeing a parallel now that although we haven't got a war situation, we've got so much stress on society and business that we're going to trigger all sorts of new stuff coming out. So yeah, interesting times there for sure.
Yes.
Now, I got to ask you, I understand there's another side to your business as well. So let me paint another picture for our audience. And that's, I'm now a different owner of a different business, and I'm a little bit more familiar with IT and what goes on, and I'm more involved with what my IT people do. But I really need a good developer for a new project we want to do. I can't really find anyone locally, and it's going to be a fairly short-term project. So I don't want to take a guy on a high salary contract for years and years and have to build him a nice office. But I need that developer, and he could work remotely. I don't even know where to start looking for a guy like that. So where do you guys come in there?
Yes, Peter, that is another part of what we do is if there's a company locally that is in need of some sort of talent, whether it's a developer, project manager, very specific needs, and we help find them the right talent. So we act as recruiters that way. And sometimes they want the person full time, and sometimes they want the person for a short, for just a project, but they want a dedicated person. In which case we can help with that as well.
Interesting. And you would have access to people for all sorts of different projects, different types of IT work.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, and it could be it's very broad, and it could be very specific to certain programming languages, or it could be even sector and industry specific in terms of knowledge. So absolutely what we found in the last little while is that there is a wealth of talent, and we've been really quite fortunate and to be able to tap into those resources. So we feel that, situationally where we are location-wise in the world, here in Europe, we're in a very Western-minded, English proficient country. And so that doesn't pose any type of challenge whatsoever, even time zone-wise. It's only usually about, 6 hour, approximately 6 hour time difference. But a lot of people that like remote working don't even mind that. They're very flexible. And this is what, of course, remote working offers, is that, the office doesn't shut down at 5 p.m.
Sure.
People are working where they are, and they're more open and flexible to different time zones. So.
Okay, and just picking up from previous conversations I've had with both of you, you have access to people at various levels of talent, right? From sort of virtual assistants, I don't know if that's the correct term, up to really senior project managers who can take on and manage big teams remotely.
Absolutely.
So that's another useful one for people who need somebody. We're going to be running out of time fairly soon, but we have a few minutes left. So both of you, for our audience, tips and tools you've picked up. You're far more aware of what's available out there in the form of tools for productivity, remote working. Mary, start with you. What's a couple of your favorite tools that you use to manage remote work?
Yeah, I've been working remotely for a few years, and personally, I can say that for many people that this is something new, especially when most family members are at home right now, and maybe several people working from home as well. You're not the only one. Finding your space is important, and it's kind of hard to actually in the beginning to distinguish between home life and work life, because you can kind of have a sense of what's going on at home. Your kids are at home when, somebody's cooking and there's a question you have to kind of look up and answer. So both worlds are coming together now. It's quite interesting for many people. I've lived through this, so I know how to manage that. So it's good to have a dedicated workspace. And so when you do sit down in this place, you're kind of in mental, you're in a work mode. You kind of start thinking it's work time, and it's okay to change that space as well, to kind of break your location. And so you kind of freshen up, get up and you say, I'm going to be here for the next hour or so. Another thing that can really help is in terms of, doing your to-do list and giving yourself some personal goals. Your boss isn't with you. You kind of have to be self-motivating in a sense, which is really important. And scheduling. It's great that you can meet now. Obviously we're doing this in a way through Zoom, for example, Google Hangouts, where you can really bring team members together, and collaborating is hugely important because you still feel connected. It's important to still feel connected to your teammates and your clients. So face-to-face is important. Some people are shy and they don't like to turn on their video when they're meeting, and I think that's I think that's a mistake. I think we should all see each other, and that visual engagement really helps us to stay connected. And it doesn't have to be, we all have to be aware that where we are right now in the world, and people are at home, and maybe you don't have the perfect office setup in the background. It doesn't really matter. We are a little bit more flexible and open, but still offer some professionalism. It's kind of balancing that, isn't it? It's kind of, I'm at home, but and it's okay. And but offer that up. So communication is hugely important. Kathleen, do you have anything else you think you maybe I've missed?
You know what? For people working at home, what is required, I think, is some level of self-discipline and routine. So just as if you were to go out to an office space and every morning you're there for 8 or 9 and then you leave at a certain time, you need to set a routine for yourself, even though you're working from home. So you get up in the morning, you go through your morning routine. And when you come to your office space, whatever that space may be, maybe it's part of the dining room, maybe there you have a separate office or the basement, wherever it is within your home, now you're sitting down and it's work time. And as you said, Mary, a to-do list for the day to make yourself, what do I need to get through today? And just stick with it. It's that kind of discipline is so important. And in terms of you and I communicate, we have meetings daily. We communicate through Slack. Slack is one of our favorite channels to chat. We use that all the time. And of course, email. So we communicate through Zoom every day. And you just have to, that's what you have to do in order to keep working.
Yep.
Great tools out there. Yeah, lots of great tools out there. Again, software that's helping us get through this remote working world right now.
Yep. Very good. Thank you. We are running out of time, so I am going to ask Kathleen to finish off. But before she does, how do people get hold of you if they want to talk to you about how you can help them?
Well, we welcome you to visit our website at karytechsolutions.com, and certainly send us an email at info@karytechsolutions.com, or if you want to reach Mary or myself, it's Mary@karytechsolutions.com or Kathleen@karytechsolutions.com, and we look forward to hearing from you.
Thanks, Kathleen. Thanks, Mary. Kathleen, I'm going to ask you to put your Yakking Show hat back on and finish our episode off for our viewers in the way and the style and the grace you normally do. I can't even come close to that, so it's over to you. And thanks, Mary.
Well, thank you. Thank you all for joining us once again. We so appreciate you tuning into our show. And of course, if now being on the receiving end of these interviews, it's not so bad. So if you're interested in being interviewed and showcasing what you do and your company, please reach out to us and we'd be happy to have you as a guest on the show. So once again, thank you, Mary. Thanks, Peter.
Thank you.
And we will see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.